All right, welcome back to VOP this morning. Well, I have my colleague Esther Wachuku joining me as we go on to the second the talking points for today. Good morning to you, Esther.
Good morning, Moses. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
It was quite an interesting development yesterday. If you had watched what transpired at the Ministerial Committee during the
Which one?
screening.
The Kiyamo?
Okay,
Oh, yes, it was. Yes, it was. Well, it's part of the things that we'll talk about this morning. Well, the Senate has approved the appointment of 45 out of the 48 ministerial nominees submitted by President Bola Tinubu. Now, the nominees were confirmed on Monday evening, after the upper legislative chamber concluded the screening of the candidates. Nasir El-rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, and two other nominees were not confirmed, as the Senate awaits security clearance on them. Joining us virtually to discuss this is Charles Ideho, a journalist and a social commentator. Also, we expect John Akirile, a social commentator, to join in the conversation as well. So let's welcome Charles. Good morning to you, Charles.
It's another day, I suppose, another interesting day on TV. So thanks for having me.
All
All
right.
right.
And do we have John in? Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Oh,
Thank you
fantastic.
for having me.
All right, great, great. So, Charles, let me start with you now. Finally, here we are. Here we are. Can you give your thoughts on how the screening went altogether?
Okay, well, the screening for me was just like, I would call it a charade, and I have every cause to say so. Because when you have a list of nominees who are going to be superintendent over ministries and okay, ministries for the next 4 years, and these ministries are going to be driving the economy. These ministries are going to be, be like a driver for this government. Then you expect this screening to be tougher because it just like what when Basala was alive was like a wada carry kind of screening. That's what I tend to be because it gives you the only thing that it just gave you some time to laugh, some time to just to reduce stress. Outside that, for me, I think it was just a charade, and it didn't live up to the international best practice, international the level that you expect to be, because these are people who are going to be drivers of the economy. So you expect to hear exactly what backgrounds they have. You expect to hear from them what you think they are going to be bringing to the table. You expect to hear from them the policy directions and all that going to be bringing to bear in this government. So to ensure that they do what is normal for this country to actually make it to the next dispensation where the economy can allow the people breathe, as the president has said. But it went like that, like as I said, like a comedy session. So I actually it's for me, it's a thumbs down, not thumbs up at all.
All right, Mr. Idaho, some persons would have said that the Senate, like you rightly said in your intro, that the Senate was actually acting a script. And they asked questions. Why weren't they questioning, the past of other persons who have served in the ministry, before Festus Keyamo? And eventually, they were going to converge for an executive, would I say, conversation. Godswill Akpabio went to Aso Rock yesterday concerning what transpired. Do you think that we'll continue to see this kind of scenarios play out in our Senate?
Well, it's like you see, I personally, um, I gave an award to Ahmed Lawan of the president of the Ninth Senate as the worst Senate president ever in this country. That was my award for him. But I think a few weeks into the 10th Senate, the way Akpabio is carrying on, Akpabio may not feel better because he's just carrying on the business of or the as the superintendent and the chief superintendent of the Senate, as if it's another, as I said, another Baba Salam or another new masquerade, because it doesn't seem as if there's any seriousness from him. Look at a case in point is when they now came up with when is what do you call it? They were talking about those who are in support of the fact that the poor should breathe say aye. Those who are not say nay, and they were making it laughing issue. So over time, I have watched Akpabio closely since he emerged as the president of the Senate. I've not seen any serious business coming from that seat at all. So I'm worried that Akpabio may steer the ship of state in the Senate. He's not going to be steering the state of the steering. Okay, it's not going to be steering it to where I believe should lead us out of maybe the legislative doldrums that we are in. So for me, there may not be any significant changes at all under the Akpabio leadership at all.
Do you think that what Darlington Wokocha brought up yesterday was abnormal? Do you think that him having to, it was almost like they were waiting for him to come in and there was a plan to say, okay, we're going to put this man on the spot? Was Darlington's voicing out what transpired when he, first as KMO, was Minister of Labour and Productivity, concerning the monies that were meant to be sent to about 774 local governments into personal accounts? Do you think him bringing up that particular development was a means of genuinely wanting to investigate, or it was just another vendetta being carried out by politicians in the same, will I say, in the same circle?
Again, I would say it was a comic relief because I knew that Kemo was going to be cleared, and he is indeed has been cleared. Even yesterday, when I was somewhere, my colleague had to send to me a link. But did you hear? What's Kemo is facing fire? I say, which fire? Which fire? Let Akpabio return from Asoro. You see that they're going to give him a soft land. It was for me. It was a comic relief. Yes. Let's just make it look as if we want to toughen him a bit, want to rattle him. But is his name not among the 45 cleared now? So as I said, it was just a comic relief, nothing short of that, or nothing more than that.
All right, then let's come to John now. John, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, great. Now, John, I know you want to chime in on what we've talked about so far. You have your time to do so. And as you do so, what do you think will happen to the other 3 nominees that are yet to have been confirmed by the Senate? Let's talk about that, and then later we'll talk about the number. We are talking about 48. Well, 45 as it stands. Isn't that quite the number? All right, all of these together, if you may.
Thank you for having me. I think, first of all, let me start from where Mr. Charles stopped. We seem not to project ourselves in a very good light before the international community. And when the Senate becomes a laughingstock at the global stage, it means that they are not even giving us a good representation as a people and as a nation. And then you don't expect other parts of the world to also take us seriously. For me, the Senate screening, for me, it's more like a witch hunting section where if you're not in the good book of any senator, that is the time they have to really grill you. But I would have expected an institution where we grill people based on competence and capacity. Also, let's look at it from this angle that even the senators are untwisted until we have an amendment in our constitution, that mandates the president to send a list of ministerial nominees with their names and portfolios attached to the position at which they are nominated for. Then and then can then be grilled. Because if you send a list of people as nominees to the Senate without the portfolio attached to it, it shows that you don't even know the areas for you to throw in your questions or to throw in the grillings and to ask them specific questions as it relates to their portfolio. But in the case of you just have a list of people, you don't even know the area they want to focus on, then that's a problem. So I think for me, we should look at how we can amend that part of the Constitution, that mandates the president to send the list of ministerial nominees with their portfolio. So if somebody is nominated as a minister now for power, as a minister for infrastructure, you can now know how to look at his competence, look at his capacity as it relates to the portfolio he's been nominated for. And then can we really have a true grilling session for each of the nominees? But what we have seen so far, I was watching and I was just laughing. I was laughing because I see a double-sided Senate. I see a Senate that is out there not to really, look out for the welfare of Nigerians and for the better representation of Nigerian people, rather than their own political affiliations and their own political interests. Okay? For the fact that we have seen the highs have it, that's all you've had. The remaining three that you said they are due to security reasons, don't be scared, don't be surprised that in the same country, the three of them will be cleared. And that 48 is what the president wants, and that 48 is what the president is going to have. So they are just trying to, make Nigerians, this is like a movie for me. And so Nigerians already know that this 48 will be cleared. El-rufai will be a minister, either the Senate likes it or not. And because that's the body language of the president. Don't forget that the president went begging that he should come to his cabinet and help him. And now if you are saying that you don't want to clear El-rufai and the other three based on security reasons, what are the security reasons? These same people have shown that they are about stamp Senate. Don't be surprised. The remaining three will be cleared. All they need is just another 45 executive session meeting in the Astor Villa. And by the time they come out of the meeting, all the highs will have it. Okay? And as to the number of these ministerial nominees we have, I think again and again this government have shown that when they ask Nigerians to sacrifice, they have not shown that spirit of sacrifice even in their own dealings, in their own cabinet, and in their own system of governance. When we look at cutting down the cost of governance, 48 ministers, I don't think we've had that in this country before. Okay, this is even bigger than the former administration. But maybe because the president has said in his inaugural speech that he's going to, rejig the ministries and the boards, maybe we are going to see a case where we have new ministries come up, and then these are the areas where we want to really bring about that turnaround and renewed hope according to their own master plan. So, but for me, even if they have 48 ministers, can we still call on the cost of governance in terms of slashing down the bonuses and salaries accrued to every political appointee and elected officer by 50%? By so doing, I'm sure we would have really realized a whole lot of money. Don't also forget that these ministers will also have security attached to them, and they have other benefits attached to them, which is also on taxpayers' money. So for me, I don't see a way where we are cutting down on cost of governance. But then I also see that they want to bring in a new calculation here in terms of fulfilling their mandate, the renewed hope. So let's see how it goes. Maybe these 48 ministers will form a good cabinet, and then truly Nigerians will feel the impact, or it's just the story as usual. Let's watch and see.
All right, Charles. Let me get your opinion on this. Now, do you think that the fact that the portfolios are not attached to the names, do you think that could be in a way as to not, open them to proper scrutiny by the Senate? Or
yes,
is that because the president doesn't even know who he wants to occupy what yet?
No, I agree that that aspect is maybe I think it's deliberate. Just go there, let them clear you when you come here. We'll tell you what to do, which of course it limits the capacity for the populace, the citizenry, to know exactly what competencies these individuals are going to be bearing or bringing to bear to the several ministries that we have in Nigeria. All right. So, because for instance, if you want to, I remember when I used to be a younger journalist then, as a reporter, I covered business, and then later before I moved into politics, I'm sure Siri and I were somewhere for a number of years. Siri can testify, that's Siri Abaku, your man there, can testify to this. I mean, I was questioned based on capital market report. I was based on money market reportage. I was based on business reportage because they knew, as at that time, I said I was a business reporter. Then when I moved into, from business reporter to business desk to the political desk, I was also questioned based on the issue of political reportage. So that's the way it's done in our own profession. If you're a medical doctor, for instance, and you are going to be given tasks to be done, the questions that are going to be asked is based on your competencies and your area of specialization. But when you just say go over there, go and screen them without any portfolio attached, as accurately has said, as I said, it limits the quality of the screen. It limits this is why we're having problem with recruitment in our country. We have a problem with recruiting those who are political officers. Even the way they emerge in their primaries, that recruitment is also faulty. People have money, or if you have a godfather who is able to muzzle some bring some financial muzzle into it, muzzles your way into reckoning. And then what happens that when you go over there, you campaign in about 2 or 3 places. Even the electorate, they don't even know much about you. Money is spent to ensure that people ratify your candidature and all that. Before you know it, the person emerges as the flag bearer. After the flag bearer, the person emerges as the winner. So we really don't have this mechanism of testing people based on their competencies, based on their area of expertise. So it's the same thing. For instance, Keyamo now, what area is it? The area of law, because it's an SAN. If for example, okay, you put in the name of Professor Keyamo for the Minister of Justice, for instance, good. We can ask him what he's going to be doing about things that have to do with legality in this country. Or if it's okay, are you going to be asking about labor issues? How well did he fare as Minister of State of Labor and Employment? How well did he fare? You could ask such certain questions. If you're bringing El-rufai in, for instance, you want to ask El-rufai, what are the basis of the question you're going to be putting forward? Is it how he was a president? So how he was a governor? How did he fare when he was governor for 8 years? That even under him, Kaduna now became a theater of war? Or you're going to be rewinding backward to when he was Minister of Federal Capital, and when he demolished a lot of properties and all. So what area are you going to be basing your question? So this is very important that when you submit names of people, you must attach portfolios or prospective portfolios to their names, so that when they are being questioned, when they are being screened, they can be screened based on those competencies that they feel that individuals they all possess, so that Nigerians and the international community can begin to look at them based on those competencies and see whether what they are saying actually match what they think they have. That's the way I think we should go. But all this one, just go over there and then just say bow and take a bow and go. It's not going to help. Look at Wike. Look at the question they asked Wike. Okay. Tell us what we are going to be doing. How much you are going to be improving upon what we know what you did in River State and all that. Come on, that's not how to do these things. We are still looking as a country, operating in the antediluvian era, but we don't seem to have moved ahead of time or even alongside those countries that have moved with the times as we speak.
All right then, John. John.
Yeah.
Now, we saw the screening of Keyamo. We saw the screening of the candidate from Ogun State, the nominee from Ogun State. I can't remember his name now. We saw their screening. Both of them, Keyamo was accused of calling the 9th Senate a corrupt Senate. And, there was an uproar. The one from Ogun State, I think he made a tweet that was recalled as to, what he said about Nigeria not working, but he was made to apologize. Keyamo also was made to apologize. But what does that say? I'm going to streamline this to Keyamo now. What does that say to the character of the senators? I mean, if the 9th Senate was accused by a minister at the time of being corrupt, now the minister has come back and they had to, accept him after his apology. What does that say as to the character of the Senate, really?
Thank you very much for that question. I think looking at that session, because I was watching live, and I would go by the response of the leader of the House, leader of the Senate, that's Senator Kwayemi Bandele. And if you look at the response he gave in the case of Bosun,
yes, that's his name.
He's a young man, and that if you look at it, that even he was an NSAS protester, and that even his own daughter also joined NSAS protest. And that is somebody who is sincere in his approach and who is even dealing with the reality on ground. I think that should be a checker to the Senate. And they should ask themselves that question truly. Are they no morons? Look at the activities of the Ministerial Nominee that has formed and has gone now. Even the confirmation process. Does it show to people that these guys know what they are doing? So that is a question that they should reflect on themselves indeed. That are they truly representing the true Nigerian people? Are they really serving the purpose to which their constituents have elected them? Or they are doing the biddings of the sponsor of their elections? Are they doing that which the people really want? Because if you are doing what people want at the Senate, I don't think people will come and give you names that are not yours. And even when they give you such names, people
Rise
would
up
go
and
against
speak.
such.
Yeah.
So I think on the other hand as well, we should, as an institution, and not the people in it, because some of the times, most of the times, most of our senators have always dragged, the institution into shame and shamble. Look at the case of Senator Abo, who was found in a sex toy adult shop facility and even slapped somebody there and created a. These are some of the people who are bringing down the image of the Senate as a house, as a hallowed chamber. And so I think as a hallowed chamber, they should also respect the institution that is a hallowed chamber, and then they should present themselves and comport themselves in a matter that when other Nigerians see them, they can give that respect to the institution, rather than them themselves, degrading the office in which they occupy, knowing that it will not be the last. But if you look at the grilling process for the young man, for me, apart from the fact that instead of them to ask questions based on what he will bring onto the team in terms of competence, in terms of the deliverables, they were more focused about the personality and issues that this guy would say were the artifacts. If you ask me, I'm sure in my own case, if I'm being nominated as a minister, they would even have probably a 40-page or even a 200-page of what I've said about the country. But I will ask the question again: which of what I've said is a true or is it a lie? Is it a fact or a reality on ground, or is something that I just manufactured myself? So these are the questions we should ask. That in a country where the young people are marginalized, in a country where the country is not working, and we are saying this country is not working, and you want us to lie that the country is working, we cannot lie about it. And that is the true fact about things on ground. So I would have loved a Senate where people are grilled, indeed, about what they want to do for the country in terms of whatever portfolio they'll be holding, as to grilling them based on personal sentiment or political sentiment. That, for me, shows that we are not serious and we are not. But I think so far, Tunji Abayomi, Bosorada, he has shown you that he's a young person, and even if he apologized, but then the reality on ground, even the senators themselves know that indeed that they are morons. Imagine the other day at the session where they are doing presentation, a senator, Senator Butcher, saying that he knew how he influenced the decision. So these are some of the things that they themselves have even thrown to the public to show that the public can start calling them names. So is that not an attitude of being a moron? How can you say such a word publicly and you want people to take it seriously? You don't do such. So I think the Senate themselves should checkmate themselves and look at any response they get from the Nigerian state or the Nigerian people as a reminder of their own standing. If they are standing right, not, rather than being antagonistic or saying that everybody who say anything against the Senate should always come and apologize. Apology does not change what has been said. What has been said has been said. So what is checked out from it is what this person has said. Is it the truth or is a lie? And so most of the time when we check from that angle, it will help our senators to sit right and know that the other day, look at Senator Adams Oshomole telling you that when he came to office, he had to buy all of the electronics, laptops and TV and computers himself. And when he got to the chamber, you saw the uproar that came from Senator Yayi, that why will he say such about them on national TV? But that is the reality on ground. Now, why didn't they say that Adam Shomole should apologize to the Senate? But what Adam Shomole said, is it the truth or it's a lie? So these are questions that we must ask. If they can do that within themselves, how much more will they get from Nigerians? So they should, in the light of the office they are holding, know that they are holding the trust of the people, and as such, they must always comport themselves in a very respectable manner so that they can command the respect. And two, respect the interests of the people and make sure that all that they are doing is indeed representation of the people and not political interest or godfathers who must have sponsored the elections in time past.
All right, thank you, John Okerele, for that beautiful recommendation. Mr. Idaho, are you still with us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, so in all of this, in all of this? The Senate represents several constituencies that makes up the 774 local governments across the Federation. Where does Nigerians, that is, we who are not in the Senate, where do we stand? Because apparently the Senate is my party is here, my party is here. It's all about us, the people who brought us in. I don't think that they matter in this particular juncture. So let's take care of our own interests. Where lies the interest of the people that they are there representing?
The interest of the people lie with them, and it lies nowhere, because the people, once you say somebody is representing you, represent himself, herself over there. Because there's never, I can't recall, maybe Akele will help me, if there's any evidence he can show that even his person who has ever represented his interests over there. It's very difficult. I live in Lagos, though I'm from Edo State. I live in Lagos State. I live around Ifakoja, Jokoro local government of Lagos State. There's never a time when those people who represent us, whether in Alausa or in Emia, they even called us together before the stakeholder to say, what do you want? They feel their omniscient. They are omniscient because they think they know everything that we need. But that's not how to represent people. All right. So for me, I think this issue of representation has become a kind of cult leadership cult. Once you fight and get in there, you become part of the cult where you have to worship at the shrine of those who push you there. And then those who even they collectively surrender their money to you to hold in trust for them for assistance and renewable, they are just cut out of it. So it is you versus us, and that those you over there, they have become very powerful. All they do is that they go over there, they are mass work to benefit the immediate family, their girlfriends, their hangers on, their side chicks, their wives, and all of them. And those who own the mandate that they hold in trust, they have nothing to gain out. So this is why when they get in there, they have some, maybe once in a while, they share wrappers and they share maybe small bags of rice and salt and all that. Oh, this omawani, and that's exactly how it has been. So they pauperize you. So the little they give you, you are happy that you have received that little, and you call it dividends on democracy. I don't know what manner of dividend you will call that. So for me, those who represent or do not represent us in a strict sense of it, they just go over there because members of that court leadership, and those who they represent, or those who they think they say they represent, they are left in the lodge. They are left to be on their own with nothing coming to them. Look at the poverty in the system. Look at how penury have visited everybody. And those are the people who will think over when they get there, they'll bring about changes to the welfare of the people. But they get in there, they change their own welfares. And you see them, they become very rich, very powerful. And then they just bring a couple of people together who they will just give money to and say, okay, you are the leader of social place, and see how you do it. During layer, they just bring some small thing. The person will just share among those who are also in their court, at the grassroots. Or those other people, if you are making noise, they say, okay, what do you want? They just give you something, and then your mouth are shut. So that's not how to take care of people. That's not how to represent people. Because remember that how we arrived at this representative democracy came from the Greek city-state type democracy, when everybody had to gather at the village square to look at what is the problem with so maybe your street, Akere Street, for instance. Okay, what do we need? We need a gate. They will come over there. No, we don't need a gate. Okay, so this time around it became very rowdy, and okay, why don't we ask John Akere to represent Akere Street? They bring Chasideo to represent Chasideo community. They bring all of you there to represent, so that you can speak for them. And before you go over there to the village square, you must have asked them what they want over there to represent them. Then you go back, when you are there, you say, no, this is not what my people want. They have told me this is what the line I should toe, because they sent me there to come speak for them as a mouthpiece. But what do we have here? They hardly know what the people want. When they get in there, there's no way they can represent it, because they don't know what the people want. So it's just a way of you send in there to go and better their lives, and then you send them there, your life is not bettered. And that's the sad reality of the kind of democracy.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Charles Adaher, as well as John Okerele. But we'll be going into the second segment now. We do hope that you stay with us while we get into the second segment.
All right, going into the second part of the show, Lagos State Government suspends General Manager of the Lagos State Infrastructure and Asset Management Agency. Well, details of this and more when we come back.